We're trying to build design year on year, right? Trying to make more and more of it. Those of you that have been to previous years will hopefully notice a difference. We'd love to have your feedback afterwards, and we want to make it bigger and better every year. And also Rupert will be announcing who's won the year's Creative Cloud subscription also. We've got Wacom, who are just setting up some stuff over in that room. So while you're in between sessions or on a break, pop in there and have a look what they've got. They've got the brand new Intuos in their companion that you can use. So they've got that. They've got a Cintiq if you want to try one of those out. Absolutely awesome device.
We also have a series of publishing capabilities as well. So you get, I think you get 5 websites through Business Catalyst, and that allows you to upload content. And it also has some e-commerce mechanisms in there. So if you wanted to sell photographs, you could as well. It also includes Adobe's digital publishing single edition, which allows you to create apps for the iPad, an iPad app, and push that to iTunes as well. You can make it free or sell it as well. So different ways of publishing work. And that all of this comes together in a new application that I'll be showing you called the Creative Cloud app, which is a desktop app which allows you to access a lot of the services. So the key thing here is that it's not just about the apps. There is a lot of other capabilities that you get with Creative Cloud. Whenever you introduce a new product or change a strategy, there's often misconceptions and myths. So one of my jobs is to go around and really debunk some of those myths and explain some of the realities around it. So these are some of the common misconceptions here. My IT department doesn't want updates to be installed automatically. If you're working in a larger business, or you use Creative Cloud for Teams, you can turn off, IT can turn off the automatic updates, and IT can be in control of what gets rolled out again. So different businesses have different requirements. Some of them really lock down the desktops, and they don't want people to download their own updates. Their IT can actually download updates themselves from Adobe, and they're in control of pushing out those updates. Or maybe I want to go and create a digital publication for the iPad. They can go and do that. Do a bit of video. How about go with After Effects? Dabble in Illustrator. All of that's available, and they love it when they get all those new updates coming out. So you've got all of the applications. We also have a series of learning capabilities in there as well, so ways of getting inspiration and new ideas as well, all built into the Creative Cloud via the Creative Cloud website. Has anyone heard of Cooler in the room? Cooler. Cooler's it's a color swatch designer profiling application. So it allows you to create a set of colors based on harmonies or analogous colors, and then use those within your projects. So it's a swatch builder. The nice thing with the iPhone app is it's connected to the cloud. Illustrator could be connected to the cloud as well, and we can synchronize between mobile apps and desktop apps as well. So this is what we call, or this is what I call a high-risk demo, because we're relying on internet connections and everything to work smoothly. So let's give it a whirl and see what happens here. Okay, partial success, or rather full success. Right, so we go to Cooler now. Oh, sorry. I'm still getting used to iOS 7. So this is an app you can download today. And what it allows me to do is to, these are some colors I've already got, but what I can do also now is I hit the camera icon, I can create a new color scheme based on the audience here. Well, actually what we'll do is I'll do something a bit more colorful. We'll do the Designer's Fiesta. Now you can see how automatically it's picking points here for me. I can freeze it and actually move the points as well, if I want to. So here now I'm moving the points around and creating my own, creating my own color scheme. And we could make this public as well if we wanted to. We could share it. I'm not going to make it public. I'm going to save it. So now we've got my Fiesta is in there. Now, this does allow you to edit it. You can come in here and edit the colors if you want to as well. It's got some nice UI here to edit those colors. But the key thing here is the app's lovely, great, but where the power is the fact that I can now synchronize this back to my computer here. And there we go. We've now got our Fiesta. You see in the top left-hand side, there's my Fiesta color palette or swatch has now come through, and I can now use this inside my own projects, and I can add this swatch if I want to my swatches panel here. I wanted to show this example really because it shows how these workflows, by linking to the cloud, you can bring in mobile applications and you can start sharing content and bringing it in. So that's just one example. This is something we're looking to build on. We can share this, so I can either post it straight to Behance, or I can send a link and just allow someone to share that file down there as well, or we can download or archive as well. So if we look at something like this Photoshop file here, again, you can see the colors. If we come here, we can turn the layers on and off on here. There we go, turn the background off. So we're actually turning the layers on and off in a Photoshop file. So you've got quite a lot of capability in there. And again, it's all being synced down to my computer, so these files are then automatically synchronized as well when I make those changes. The next tab, fonts. So we have a solution called Adobe Typekit, which you get access to. Typekit brings real, proper fonts to the web. And historically, that's been possible, but the big challenge has been the licensing and the real pain. With Typekit, we sort out a lot of those issues, and we sort out the licensing. But what we've also done is extended fonts to allow you to use a subset of them in desktop projects. And I can either, you see I've got some fonts here that I've already got, I've downloaded. If we go Browse Fonts on Typekit, this will bring me to the view of the various different font families I can access. Here we've got desktop use or web use. So desktop use is new. So select the fonts that I can use for desktop use. We've brought this into this application as well, so I can see if people I'm following have shared work, but also they've commented on my work. Not that I've got much up there. But we can also then go in and actually have a look via the website, and we can see this work that's been added to this work in progress, and again, add comments. And also through here, you can create your pro site as well. So you can bring this work and create your own application. There's a ton of other capabilities in Creative Cloud that, unfortunately, I haven't got time to cover. Hopefully, you'll see some of this today in some of the demos that people are showing. We see some of the new advances and new capabilities. Before I wrap up, as Tony said, there's some lucky person in the room has won a year's subscription to Adobe's Creative Cloud. If you look under your seats, one of you may find a business card. If you just have a look, see if you've got one. It's assuming somebody's actually sat in that seat, of course. Or have a look. If you can't find it, have a look in the chair next to you if it's empty. Ah, we have a winner. You would like to come forward, sir? Congratulations. Brilliant. So have you got Creative Cloud?
No, not yet.
Not yet? OK, well, you have now. So here, if you drop me your details, yeah, my email address is on there. We'll make sure you get it to you. OK. All right, well, thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the day. I think there'll be some fantastic content. And I'd like to thank Academy Class as well for hosting the event. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Today we're talking about Lightroom, but I have a quick video just to show you from Creative Pool as well.
For connecting with people we know and gossiping about celebrities. But what about an industry network for companies and individuals? One that puts their work at the center of the online universe. Creative Pool is a new way of networking where it's all about the work.
This is Lightroom. This is the general layout of the program, the workspace. For those of you, are we mostly Photoshop users as well? Yeah, lots of nods. Cool. So most of the stuff that we have in here should be familiar to you. Maybe not how it looks right now, but everything in there is what we can do. It has the same engines as as Photoshop, but actually the great thing about Lightroom is that you can batch edit. So if you're doing things like weddings or you're doing large elements of work that have been shot in the same environment, instead of taking them in and maybe having an automated batch or applying one by one, you can come in and you can apply all of your settings to all of your photos in one go. So if we look at the basic interface, you've got four main menu systems, and then you've got a working space in the middle here. Just to make those a little bit smaller. So up at the top, Lightroom splits into really easy to use areas. So the first one we have is the library, which we're going to look at now. And then on your right, on your left here, you've got your navigator. And this is where all your catalogue is as well. So this is where all of your images are imported into the software. You can also see down the bottom, there's collections, which we'll come back to, and there's publishing services as well. On this right-hand side, this is where you're going to be adding to your pictures. So this is where you'll be adjusting your exposure throughout, changing your settings. So there's sliders and buttons in here, which again, we're going to go over throughout the next hour.
Little talk is going to give you sort of an overview of the different types of things you may be asked to design for, and give you some advice on software you may use, and also as well some technical information upon the sorts of designs and things that you will be needing to do. You've all got a workflow probably, unless of course you've already gone into digital stuff, that you've been using for a long time, and you have a set of software that you use, and you have a core skills and pieces that you've stuck to. So a lot of you will be using Photoshop to do all of your digital imaging, getting everything to look nice, producing images, editing them, cropping them, colouring them, taking out spots and blemishes, all these other things. Illustrator to do your artworks, create your vector graphics, maps, things, logos, and then of course compiling them all together into InDesign, whereupon which you'll be outputting a good old-fashioned PDF. So if you want to solidify it down into some simple ideas that you might need to use, you could say, when you're designing for digital content, depending on what of course you're designing, it probably falls into some of these categories. Something to do with user interface, something to do with user experience, and of course the content that those two things will be providing. As a designer, of course, that's often the thing that you wouldn't do yourself, but when you are doing designs, you need to think about the fact there will be a developer on the digital side who will add functionality. He can do what's known as an adaptive design, which says, if we're on a desktop, then we will use these ideas, and we will have rollovers, and we may have buttons. But when we go over to mobile, we'll take away those buttons because actually the user can swipe through images, which is much more natural than fiddly little buttons to press to go left and right. So it's recommended in modern web, unless you've got the ability to use that adaptive design, where you change physically how your design works and functions between mobile and desktop, it's recommended that when you're designing, not to use old school things like rollovers, but to get that away, to be pure, everything gestures, what's interactive without the need of a rollover. When you're doing your designs, you need to also think about the platforms. And of course, on mobile, there's a very big division between the platforms of iOS and Android. The user experience, the way it works and the functionality is very different between those two platforms. And I've just mentioned those two. There are, of course, other platforms, BlackBerry, Windows, and all of them have their own unique things. So therefore, what you need to do is either do a design that is neutral, that radiates out by itself, or a design that fits into that ecosystem. So therefore, when you're doing your responsive designs, they can actually be utilized almost anywhere. And in the modern day and age, what's going to happen more and more is you will probably be asked to do a design, and you need to think about the fact that it has to be totally universal, and it could be used anywhere from a phone to a tablet to a desktop to a laptop to a television, and it could be used in a whole manner of operating systems. And you might have to gesture for touch, or you might have to conform to mouse clicks. So you have to think about all of those different ways of operating. And of course, the content in itself, you need to think of the content. Do we use multimedia, or should we use multimedia, videos, audio, animations? And how is the content itself going to be interactive? And that's aside from all of the things I was talking about in terms of the design of the app itself. And Adobe Edge is part of the Adobe Creative Suite, and put it through. It can also be made interactive, but the bad news is, if it's simple, you can do it without any code. But if you want to do anything clever, and being designers, you'll want to do things which are clever because that's your nature, you will hit a wall with what you can do without any code. But you can do anything you want. You might just need to get a developer. So HTML5 is really cool. And one of the things it does is code or code-free. Well, there's a number of options that you can use to build things code-free, but they all have their limitations. Dreamweaver, of course, is there, but Dreamweaver is very complex. That's a bit like using a bus as your family car. Dreamweaver does loads of stuff, but isn't easy to learn. And if you don't know how to code, it's also difficult to learn. So therefore, there are other code-free products, but they all have the same thing, a template. And if that template isn't what you want, you have to get another template. And if that isn't what you want, then you're a bit stuck. So therefore, one of the things is with responsive design, it makes this code-free stuff very, very difficult, because with responsive design, your artwork originally was sized so it would work on any screen. But as I've said earlier on, now that we've also got as well tablets, telephones, and televisions, we need more than just one design that fits all. But I've got a thing for the future, and this is it, and this is my controversial bit. Don't try to do it code-free. Be brave, be strong, take a deep breath, and learn to write HTML5 and CSS3. Unlike HTML4 and CSS2, it is actually very easy. And I've worked with loads of designers who, when this was suggested, screamed and left a Tom and Jerry shaped hole in the wall. And once we dragged them back in with a cattle prod, an hour later they could do it, and were amazed that it was quite easy. And what's brilliant is you don't type anything. You don't think programmers type. What they do is they press 1, 2, and a program they're using types in the code. And then, with a tab key, they type in values. And that's what this program will do for you. So it's something I think you can all learn. So just do it. Don't try to put it off. I would recommend definitely going to that world. Okay. Anyway, that's it. So enjoy your designs.
Welcome to this session with me, which is a journey through, well, stuff. So I've entitled this, The CSS You Don't Use But Really Need to Know. So one of the things that CSS3 and CSS4 bring us are the concept of modular segments of the language. Basically, in that if there's something, so if you do everything across an entire specification, that means everything has to be all right and proper before you publish it and move on to the next version. And that's why historically, right, for one of the reasons why things have taken so long to move. But now with things like Whatwig and their business model changing, not their business model, but their model of development changing the way everything goes, things are much quicker, much smoother. And modularizing something means if there's a problem with a part of it or something that you want to develop, you just pull that module out, work on it, plug it back in. Edge code is a fantastic little coding environment, and that works combined with Chrome. So as you code, it updates literally in the browser. They forge a link between the two. It's very nice. Anyway, so these are the things I'm assuming that you know already. This is specifically aimed at you if you do things like this. So the kind of the aims of the selectors module, the CSS3 selectors module, okay, are manifold. But if you're the sort of person that does this, so you create a particular class of something that has maybe like the same color values as something else, but just changes the type size. Okay, so two very, very similar rules there. The only distinction between class 1 and class 2, this is definitely for you. And so if you're adding, and sometimes you can't avoid it, but if you're adding spans more often than not, or creating a particular class of paragraph just to do one thing to one paragraph, here's a good for instance of that, right? So you're taking a sort of a newspaper type approach to some articles on your site. Newspapers have, for a very good reason, because they've got a headline at the top, and then they've got sort of a paragraph which is bold, and then they've got regular weight text underneath that. It kind of leads the eye into the colour of the page, and that's very successful. We've used it for quite a long time now, and pages use that. So this is if you are a paragraph, right, that is immediately adjacent to a header, right, level 1, right, then this rule applies to you. In this particular case, making the font weight bold just here. Okay, that thing has hiccups on that, but basically, in the document tree, these three things together would be siblings, right? Okay, so in that one there, right, that paragraph would be targeted by that H1. That's what I mean about unnecessary markup. Do you follow? Okay, so this is doing it automatically. It's just saying if that condition exists, okay, then do that. All right. This says if you're a paragraph that is a sibling at any level of this H1 element, then this rule applies to you, and that's why that's come across like that. So it's the same markup just there, but that's actually any paragraph that follows an H1. And then the tilde, and then the equals, and then inside the quotes you would put status publish, and then it doesn't matter what else is around it, it would target that particular thing. Yeah? And that's much more what this is about. It's not about the static sites that you create, it's about gearing you up for whereas as well as, it does work for people with static sites because it means you're writing cleaner, more efficient, less design enabling markup, if you see what I mean by that. Right, and moving you up to the thing where you may not know specifically what it's going to generate at that time. Then you've got the attribute selectors. I like this one. This is probably, out of all of these, the one I use, this one and the one after this, that I use more than anything else inside of here. So this is the attribute value begins with, okay, and that looks like this. Okay, within the brackets, you've got the attribute that you're after, followed by a caret, right? That's that little upwardy sort of accent thing that you get there, the one that's above the 6 key on the keyboard. Then an equals operator, then the value that begins with like so. You can find the hyphen separated list from the pipe and equals character, if you remember I was saying about that, from English US and English Scouse, all right. Okay, so this one says if you are that, then use this background image, don't repeat it, la 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 la, that. There's the markup, there's a paragraph with that in English, okay, like so, and you can see the end result is that one gets one, right, because it's got that. Okay, so there you are. That's a quick journey, very, very quick journey through the CSS3 selectors module, which I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. It's been nice having you in there. Enjoy the rest of the Fiesta. Cheers. Thank you.